Last time on Square Roots, it's a real reverse Punisher when Ashley faces his past, experiments with cross-shaped peekaboo windows, and teams up with Sydney to battle an old friend turned new foe. Also, his butt is still out, just in case you were wondering.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Square Roots, the classic RPG podcast. My name is Jim Banks. I'm joined by Matthew Van Zandt.
Heyo.
John Grand Grimoire Brandon.
Hello.
You used that last time.
Did I say that last time?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shoot. John Bloodsin Brandon.
Ooh. You know what the bloodsin is, don't you? It's an abjuration of the flesh.
I thought it was a tattoo.
I thought it was a tattoo as well.
And Vanessa.
It's only 1 week to Christmas as of the recording of this podcast, and I'm so excited. I'm full of Christmas joy. Can't wait to open my brand new Christmas toy.
Keep it going.
This is a podcast where we play and talk about your favorite classic RPGs like Vagrant Story.
Vanessa?
Yes, John?
Have you ever heard of this pebble furniture?
Is it furniture made of pebbles?
Tell me more.
I saw a video.
Tell me more,
it was a TikTok about this like kids furniture that's like expensive, and all like the super rich moms all get it. And then like the thing is that when you get the big box with your pebble furniture, the thing that all the Insta moms do is get their husband to pose naked on top of, or like pose shirtless on top of it. And it's like a whole thing.
What?
But I don't know if this
Sounds terrible.
TikTok is true or not. So I was curious if you'd heard about that.
Know what you're talking about? Are you talking about those like cushions that look like stones?
No, it's just like some kid furniture brand. I don't understand it either.
I don't know what that is.
I know that Jim is still in a spooky
Let's see,
H.R.
I'm
Geiger.
looking it up.
Oh, I do have my Giger background still.
Peach and Pebble, but that doesn't
maybe
look
it's not
like
Pebble.
children's furniture.
Let me. I'll get back to you about this.
Okay.
Do continue.
I saw that the
you can see my
kids
laundry.
on TikTok are calling like different things, like they're giving them new aesthetic names, and I saw one called Dark Academia, and I think that's my inspirational aesthetic, but I'm too lazy to actually have one. And also I really just like blank white walls, which is basically the opposite. But in my Animal Crossing house, it's all Dark Academia all the time. TikTok
What's Dark
kids,
Academia?
I think you're all right.
I think
Dark
it's like
Academia is like
how like Rom, she was this dark academic woman, and then she found like this big jar full of eyeballs, and then she started like looking at it, and then she started turning into a tentacle monster, and then she like turned into a big spider that you have to fight in Bloodborne.
You know what,
Yeah.
John? I saw the graphic for that explains that transformation. I don't remember there being a tentacle monster form in that game. What's the deal with that?
I think that's part of the, like, when you get the old god's blood, that it makes you all...
Oh, you go tentacly?
Yeah, like, that's not what happens to the beast people. But anyway, sorry, Vanessa, do go on.
Dark Academia is like you're a Victorian in Victorian times, and you're like, I say, I'm going to discover the scientific world and gather up all my bones and bits and tomes and butterflies and categorize them according to science. But you're stupid because you're Victorian, so you just throw them together all willy-nilly, and you're like, oh, this was probably used for ceremonial religious sacrifice. But it wasn't. It was an ashtray, idiot. That's Dark Academia.
Oh, sorry, Vanessa. It's called the Nugget, not the Pebble.
The Nugget? That's totally different.
Have you heard of this?
No.
Okay, it's modular children's furniture, and yeah, the Instamom thing is to get your husband to pose sexily on the box.
Gross.
Back to the show. We get to talk about amazing RPGs. Like,
I'm not seeing any shirtless dads.
Vagrant story.
The last paragraph does mention it.
Vagrant story.
Like Vagrant story.
AKA the Phantom Pain.
So I was thinking with Vagrant story, for the last episode, before I play it, I'm going to write out a list of the things I really hate about it, because every time there's a cutscene, I'm like, oh, I love this game. But then, like, the game happens, and, you know.
Jim sent the group a 20-minute, like, explainer video, and it was better than anything that actually comes out of the game.
Oh.
I will say too that I do like I think the plot of the game is very interesting. I like that it takes place over like a 24-hour period. Now that I understand who all the characters are, I appreciate the way they interact with one another. I like the overarching stuff with the Duke and the Blades and the Knights and all that. Like, I'm into it, but playing the game is a chore and a half.
Did you
keep mentioning that this game takes place over 24 hours, but I don't think the game ever mentions that. I mean, it takes place in a short time period because, like, it's about fast-moving events and, like, a group of people and some shit happening overnight. But, like, it's not like there's a ticking clock. It's not like 24 television show.
But it starts at an evening and ends in the next evening.
Yeah.
So it's like, and we'll talk about the ending later, but like throughout the game, they tell you that Duke Bardorba is in his final hours. And so they say that a lot.
It also does start with, like, I think the raid on the manor when Sydney gets there is 1 a.m. You see, like, at 10 p.m. the night before, that's when he's having the conference with his boss, and he meets Merlot's just after midnight. Like, it does give you but it stops. It should have kept doing that.
So there's a couple of timestamps at the beginning, is what you're saying.
It should have kept doing that, because that would have been
pretty
better.
cool if it kept doing that. But
I mean, like, a ticking clock would have made it more interesting, to be honest with you. Like, you've got all these cutscenes.
It's going to take 1,000,000 hours to play the game, right? Like,
I mean, like, as you get to each cutscene, then I would, like,
that would have been cool.
Show a clock kicking forward an hour or something like that, you know?
Now it's like 7 a.m.
Well, it could have kept doing
just timestamp every scene.
Yeah,
I mean,
why
really,
not?
John solved it with his observation.
Yeah.
Timestamp every scene. Anyway,
before
we should probably level up real quick, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We all got some stuff. Vanessa, why don't you kick us off this week?
All right, I guess I can stop Googling Nugget shirtless dads for 5 minutes. I'm not having any luck anyway. It's all locked down on the Instagram. Okay, level up time. Hi, everybody. Here's how I leveled up. You remember G4?
Nope.
Yeah, I do.
You do. G4 was allegedly a television station, although that's stretching the definition very thin.
Oh, the game.
It was a television station with like 4 shows.
It had 4 shows. It used to be Tech TV. When it was Tech TV, it had my favorite show of all time. It was called Cinema Tech, and it was just cutscenes from video games.
I remember that. It was dope.
It was like half an hour of cutscenes from video games, and they like didn't have a host. They didn't provide any context. They were just like,
that's amazing.
That's a TV show.
That's what I watch now.
But with context.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, really, it was very cutting edge when you think about it. It had 4 shows. It had X-Play, the OG. It had Attack of the Show, which famously launched Olivia Munn's career.
Psylocke.
Is that the Newsroom's Olivia Munn?
That's the Newsroom's Olivia Munn.
She was in the newsroom?
Yeah. It had Cheaters or Cheats or something like that, which told you how to cheat at video games.
Oh.
I remember one episode where it was like, here, we're going to show you where all the hidden stuff is on this Uncharted level.
There was that show, Cheaters.
Not to be confused with the other Cheaters, which I think was on like, what was that? Like Spike TV?
Yeah.
Which was like people getting caught cheating on their
Cheaters
their
usually used to
significant
come
others.
on after Eliminate. I loved Eliminate.
I think all that stuff was on like UPN for me.
It was. There's a big overlap between like G4 and Spike TV and UPN. Like, I don't know if they're all owned by the same company, but
because they all just played
overlap.
syndicated stuff, right? That's
it's like syndicated shitty reality shows. Like,
because those are cheap and you can fill airtime with them.
Remember that show where like
for what you really are, or what you're really doing, which is getting the advertising dollars from that 1 hour of Seinfeld you play in the evening. That's where all their money is.
That
apparently.
Show where people got their vehicles towed, and it was so obviously fake that it was kind of embarrassing.
No,
it was like tow
I remember
something.
That G4 became Spike, right?
That.
And then Spike became Esquire, I think, which became the Paramount Network. And now I don't even know what it is. It's still the Paramount
Network, right? You know what? The Paramount Network did air that really good Mr. Mercedes show that's based on the Stephen King series of books that stars Brendan Gleeson. It's actually very good.
Never even heard of it.
They also aired that Taylor Kitsch, where he's the cult leader. Where he's the cult leader that remember Janet Reno like burned their house down?
David Koresh?
David Koresh. Where Taylor
Janet Reno burned their house down.
Janet Reno did burn their house down and kill all of them.
They set off like smoke devices that caused fires and killed everybody inside the this was that Branch Davidian compound in Waco,
yes.
Texas.
They killed dozens of people.
Oh, yeah,
lots of children.
Janet Reno is responsible.
Wasn't there tossing the grenade.
She authorized them breaching the Branch Davidian compound.
Lots of people authorize lots of things. Anyway, and the fourth show was...
Did the police set the compound on fire? I thought that the cult members set the compound on fire.
No, it was definitely the cops.
Definitely the police, yeah.
Oh, really?
In fact, they were in the middle of negotiating and very near coming out, and then Janet Reno was like, burn that place to the ground.
Well, there were children inside, and she was concerned for them, so she burned them. And the last show on G4 was reruns of Cops. Anyway, it was the greatest network of all time. They were the first network to go to E3, so that's something.
Whoa!
And
I remember at the time that network was a thing. I was like, I would not be caught dead watching the goddamn game channel.
And now you are the goddamn game channel for your ears.
I know. Yeah. How sad. I used to be cool. Not really.
So in conclusion, it's back with Ron Funches. He hosted on YouTube.
Whoa, Ron Funches hosted? Love that guy.
A very special reunion for G4, and everyone was there. Adam, Morgan,
all the stars
Kevin
from the sky,
and Olivia, and not Chris Hardwick.
Name Adam Sessler.
He got canceled. Well, Chris Hardwick also got his start there, but people don't like him anymore. Chris Hardwick, Mr. Nerd.
Oh, he sucks.
Did he?
So, wait, hold on.
Adam's podcasts.
Adam Sessler got canceled?
Well, people are a little bit upset with Adam too, but I'm not really clear on the details. Apparently there's all kinds of G4 drama out there. But
I read something about like he started an internet show and his co-host was really shitty to like the women on the show, but he didn't do anything.
The other guy. That was Kevin.
I don't know who Kevin. Okay.
I want Ron Funches to do an ASMR channel because his voice is so relaxing.
I love Ron Funches. His episode of Nailed It on Netflix is my favorite.
Was he a contestant?
No, he was a judge, and he ate a guy's cookie, and his first question after he ate it was, how is this dry and wet? And like the way that he asked it cracks me up every time.
Y'all watched the Nailed It where what's his name actually was a contestant? Paul Scheer?
No.
I did, yeah.
I saw the one with Jason Mantzoukas as a host.
Yeah, that's the only one I watched too.
That one cracks me up. Like when he cracks at the cameraman so bad that the camera is shaking. That's like one of the best moments of TV, I think.
Yeah, they asked Paul if he wanted to host, and he was like, "No, but I'll be a contestant." And they're like, okay, but if you're a contestant, you have to like really be one. Like, we won't give you special celebrity treatment. And he's like, I don't want it. I want to be a contestant.
He actually tries. He does a good job.
I didn't ever realize that he was an attractive person until I saw him next to
unattractive person.
Yeah. And attractive person. Because see, the thing with television
and
is
he's been putting on muscle for the last few years too, I think. I noticed it.
Paul Scheer's been jacked. Is he jacked now?
I don't think he's jacked, but he's certainly fit. Beefier than he used to be.
Could he play the Wolverine?
And he's a tall dude. I think. Yeah. I bet a lot of that is June's influence. To be honest with you,
he could play the Wolverine. Yeah, the trick with TV.
No, he's too tall. Wolverine's short.
Paul Scheer is a Wolverine with his teeth and his bald head. Amazing. I want to see some art with Paul Scheer as the Wolverine.
Paul Scheer's a goddamn delight.
The trick with television is that even people on television who look like they're normal people, they only look like that because they're standing next to like extremely attractive people.
Yeah.
Like the ugly people on TV, they're not ugly, they're hot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's true.
That's why everyone has body dysmorphia today. My point is, G4's back. If you loved all of those people, you can watch it, because I did. It was super awkward, just what you'd want it to be. And then I was talking about it on the internet, and people are like, oh yeah, half these people have been involved in terrible things. And I'm like, oh no. But the women seem to be fine.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's very kind of indicative of gaming culture at large. Where like half the people are just pieces of shit, and then... Maybe that's just
Are we
me.
still in the level up segment?
We're still in the first level up.
These people were active in like the late 90s, early 2000s. That was like the height of like butt metal game culture, you know?
Butt metal.
You know, like, games are cool. Look, Halo, it has guns.
Hashtag Papa Roach.
Vanessa has just officially changed the name of new metal to butt metal.
Yeah.
Butt metal.
I will only refer to it as butt metal from now on.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, everything was extreme, and it's like...
It'd be like,
God, remember everything was extreme?
Game, it has an exclusive track from Stained as the theme.
Yeah, and it's like when gamers still had, like, a chip on their shoulder because they thought that they were outcasts, and now we realize...
What was the band that did...
That's that David Cage game where it had Theory of a Dead Man do 2 songs on their soundtrack. Woof, that's butt metal to the max.
What was the band that did the second Prince of Persia game, the really dumb dark one? Remember they did the...
Oh, I do remember the dark Prince of Persia game.
It was...
Dark Prince.
I mean, the second Prince of Persia game that everybody was like, "Oh, you fucked it all up."
Yeah.
And then it never got better.
I feel like that band is like the ultimate butt metal band. Anyway, Vanessa, do continue.
G4 reunion special. That's how I leveled
It's problematic.
It's not good. But if you're like me and you loved G4 because it sucked, you'll love the reunion special because it's just as bad. My favorite G4 memory is when they moved studios. They moved from San Francisco to Los Angeles, but the studio in Los Angeles wasn't ready in time, so they just recorded X-Play from Adam Sessler's apartment. It was just him and Morgan, like, sitting on his couch and one camera guy and being like, here's a real TV show that we made.
I've never seen this G4.
I mean, now in the year 2020, we've seen 100,000 TV shows exactly like that. So really, they were ahead of the curve.
I mean, they were just like YouTube or Twitch before there was YouTube or Twitch. They even like had e-athletes on, and they were like, hey, esports is a real thing. I learned a lot about gaming from G4, and once upon a time, I did a job where I had to utilize that knowledge, and I did.
You did? What job was
sure
this?
Did. No, I'm not going to tell you on the show.
John.
All right,
yeah.
I'll ask you later.
Godsmack.
That's it.
Oh, Godsmack.
Yeah.
That,
One of the worst bands of all time.
Ooh,
You know
I
what?
don't know, man.
The
songs. The thing about Godsmack is that all of their like big hits really fucking slap. They're just not like
they're embarrassing to listen to now.
But
like,
they're certainly.
You guys, the first concert I ever went to was like a rock festival when I was 12, and my dad made me stand in line to get a Godsmack t-shirt autographed that I still have.
That's hilarious. My first concert was the Smashing Pumpkins with Garbage.
Ooh, that would have been a great concert.
Hell yeah. I mean, I was so far back that they were ants on the stage, for sure. And there was a big American flag and a big Canadian flag in my way.
Did you feel melancholy
because it was
in the
at the hockey
sadness?
stadium? I mean, that was the tour.
That's a great album.
So I don't know if you remember the game Haze, but Ubisoft paid.
I do.
Maybe
Ubisoft paid Korn to write the theme music to that game.
I remember that game. I remember really wanting to like that game, and it sucks. Like, I didn't even finish it. It's one of those. If you guys remember, it's got like kind of famous box art where it shows a dude in like a yellow-orange helmet, but the helmet has like a big chunk missing from it. I feel like I see that box art all the time. Anytime
you're at a used game store and there's 80 copies of Haze.
It's in every GameStop.
So Vanessa, let's wrap up your first level up so we can.
Yeah, I sent a picture of the hosts of X-Play for John to see. When I was a kid and I watched the show, my mom called Adam Sessler the guy with the shoulders. I guess that was pretty cruel. But
he does have wide shoulders.
Everyone knows that I love accessible celebrities. And so
attainable?
watch X-Play. Yeah, attainable. Yeah.
Attainable.
Doesn't seem like an impossible dream.
I used to have a green version of her shirt. She has a 1-Up mushroom shirt that says 1-Up under it. Although that is not a 1-Up. The green one.
No, hers is not. I had the green. I had that same shirt, John. That's ridiculous.
That's a Grow Mario.
Yeah, she has a Grow Mario mushroom with 1-Up under it. Obviously, she is a fake gamer.
No, I didn't. Maybe it's ironic.
I think it's ironic. I think it's ironic.
Yeah. Rather famously, she, as a host of a video game show, was asked in every interview if she actually played video games all the time. Because everything's terrible. So that's my level up. Jim.
Ooh,
although, Vanessa, did you actually play this video game we are talking about today?
Let's...
Jim!
So, my turn. So two of my favorite bands put out a Christmas single this week. There is a song by Charlie Bliss and Pup that is called It's Christmas and I Fucking Miss You. And it's a nice little holiday jam.
Have you listened to anything but that song since you discovered it?
I listened to it probably 30 times just today. As I was driving. It's a good song, and the like quote unquote pup verse that's sang by Stephen Babcock it's amazing. He does.
Why is it a quote unquote pup verse?
Because like I don't know if all of the band is playing in the track. So I know Stephen Babcock definitely sings, but I don't know if the whole band is playing on the track. So so I say quote unquote. But it's really good. And then I also want to give another shout out to Dragon Quest XI, which I'm kind of currently obsessed with. The game fucking rules. It's amazing. Yeah. It's so fun to play. I thought that I was gonna get tired of it then, because I'm kind of towards the third act, which is where a lot of RPGs really sag. And this one doesn't. Like, it finds a way to, like, freshen everything up right when you expect it to get kind of dull. And it's great. I love it. I love playing it. The Fun Size Forge never gets old. Like, I like crafting armor and weapons in it. I like the characters. I like doing the party talk command to find out where you're going to go. They all have interesting stuff to say. And, like, you can tell when, like, if you go to Party Talk and like something is bothering a character, like they'll be kind of doing a face or they all have, body language and stuff. It's really interesting. And it's fun. Like I'm always finding new things to like about it. Even I'm probably 30 hours into it. And like I still am finding stuff that I'm like, oh man, this is another cool thing. So it's a great game.
I have 2 notes for you.
Okay.
One, every time you go into the Party Talk mode, could you please sing Party Talk is in the house tonight?
Party Talk is in the house tonight.
What is that from?
Everybody's gonna have a good time.
LMFAO? Party Rock?
Oh.
Party Rock?
Party.
I know Party Rock, man. I guess I just don't remember that verse.
The chorus?
He only listened to that Abercrombie and Fitch song.
So, the other note I have is I was thinking about how I could play Dragon Quest XIS
Definitive Edition
without being upset at how it looks like garbage on my expensive new console. And the answer is I need to get it on Switch because I'm very forgiving of Switch graphics. I'll be like, oh, look at this little guy. Look what it can do. It almost looks like a real game.
You know what, John? The trade-off for that, playing it on your next-gen Xbox, is there's pretty much 0 load times.
Right.
So, like, zooming from place to place, and I say zooming because there's like the fast travel.
John's played a Dragon Quest game before.
Yeah, and it's so seamless. Like I feel like I'm bouncing all over all the time, and like there's no wait, which honestly makes the game just that much more breezy. Yeah.
Aww.
That's a good idea, John. You should get it on the Switch.
Yeah, because it looks good on the graphics were made for the Switch, and I always like when they try to fit a real game onto the Switch. I'm like, oh look, it's trying its best. Oh, like
I wonder how, because they just ported Doom Eternal to the Switch. I wonder how that one looks.
It looks
I bet
pretty
it looks like
good.
shit.
Like especially in handheld mode. Like the last
I saw an ad for it the other day that it was very clearly like PS4 gameplay that was like cut and pasted on top of the Switch machine. It did not look natural at all.
No.
But yeah,
Speaking of how things look on old systems, how about that Cyberpunk, huh? That's the big game news today. Thanks for tuning in to
Cyberpunk.
Game News.
Has anybody bought Cyberpunk?
No.
Any one of us?
And now you can't.
And now you can't.
Except on PC or Xbox.
Pirating Cyberpunk was,
that's like the most cyberpunk thing you could do. But don't do it. We are not encouraging people to commit crimes. Wink.
People should be paid for their... No wink! No wink!
Crime is cool. Hashtag crime. So that's it for my level up. John, how did you level up?
Well, I finished the show Final Space's first season. I did it a few weeks ago, but I forgot to follow up about it. The show does do the thing that I really hoped it wouldn't do, where the obsessive guy does get the girl. And it would have been much better if it didn't do that. But otherwise, that show gets really good. The end of the first season is dark and strange and very sad. And it's just like a really good space opera kind of thing.
Spoilers for that show, I guess.
Well, I mean, from the second episode, you know that they're going to get together. I was just really hoping they wouldn't. That it would like do a twisteroo or something. It's not, and that's only a spoiler for the end of the first season. Like I think there's a third season coming. I'm definitely going to watch the second. I think it's really good. Surprisingly good. The first episode is kind of rough, but if you like space opera, like comic book style sci-fi stuff, I think it's really fun and way more serious than you think it will be. Like, there's a lot of, the end of one episode is just like super sad and dark. It's really weird, but it's very good. And honestly makes me tear up in a way that a lot of shows
John's
don't.
having a reaction to Final Space like I think most people, not most people, but those who like it have to Rick and Morty.
Right. And maybe I should try that again because I hated the first episode of Rick and Morty I saw. That's the only one I've seen.
I mean, the first episode, it really sets it off when they accidentally destroy the planet and then just step into another dimension where they just died. And Rick tells Morty, like, yes, all of us are just replaceable. It's dark. Very dark.
Otherwise, I did purchase the game Hades for the Nintendo Switch. I didn't realize it was a Switch game. I thought it was just PC, and it runs really nicely on Switch. I was like, look at this guy. He can play games like it's a real boy.
Do you like playing it? I've been curious about that game.
Did you like Bastion?
I never played Bastion.
Because
I did not.
It's like a combination of Rogue Legacy. I want to say Rogue Galaxy, but it's Rogue Legacy. And Bastion. Like, the way the game works is exactly like Rogue Legacy. Like, you do runs and then you start getting equipment each time, and the writing's really good, the animation's beautiful. I think Matt would appreciate the art. The art is really nice. But it is a lot like Bastion. It plays a lot like that Bastion.
Is it better than Cyberpunk?
I've never played Cyberpunk. I'm waiting till it gets a next-gen release. I'll play it sometime at the end of next year, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Hades is interesting so far. People seem really obsessive about it, and I don't know if it's hitting me that way. But I did start a game that I don't want to talk too much about because I really want to do an instant classic. I was thinking maybe we should just do an instant classic episode where Vanessa and I play this one, and you and Matt talk about.
No, I want to play it too, so you can stop that train of thought right
Dragon
now.
Quest 11. I want to talk. I just started playing Death Stranding. It's amazing. Like, holy crap. I love it.
That seems like fake news.
What?
I remember when that game came out and everyone was like, oh boy, we're so excited for Norman Reedus and his walking simulator. And then I never heard a thing about it again.
Well,
I heard a lot of things about it. I remember but it did not, it had mixed reviews, right? Some people really got into it and some people really didn't.
Yeah. I think the consensus is that it's very good, but definitely not what people expected.
Well, and also there's a lot of like weirdness to it, obviously. Like you do like pee in bottles and like
there's Monster
a lot
energy
of like
drinks.
Is it Monster
everywhere.
Energy drink?
What?
Yeah, promotion.
Yep.
And there's other actors. There's other recognizable like cameos.
Yep. Conan O'Brien.
Conan O'Brien's
yeah, Conan
like
O'Brien, Nicholas Winding Refn, Guillermo del Toro.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of big names in it.
It's a weird one. I 100% want to play that game, and I had been intending to day one buy it, but something else came out around the same time. I think that I went with.
Well, we'll do it for an instant classic next year because it's on sale right now. So if people want to play along,
Matt, there was like a concurrent release that also took my attention.
Yeah,
I don't remember what it was.
Several because they came out in the middle of that boom season for games.
Yeah, it was last fall. It came out last fall. So yeah, I definitely. If you like weird games and if you like stuff like wow, what was that game where you're driving trucks?
Oh, it was the Final Fantasy VII remake.
No, that came out the 6 months later.
That came out in April.
Yeah, this was last year. Death Stranding was a 2019 game. But
this year, to be fair, this year has felt like 10 years.
That's true. That is definitely true. So I've been playing that, and I don't want to spoil it, but I love it. I don't want to spoil future episodes, but I'm only 3 hours in. Maybe I won't love it towards the end, and I'm definitely curious what Jim, Matt, and Vanessa think of this game. Speaking of Matt, how did you level up?
Ooh, I leveled up by cutting right through all this bullshit and jumping directly into the quest log. Take it away, John.
This is our longest opener.
We are fucking 40 minutes in.
Wow. You know what? I would bet if we cut out the Nugget Furniture
I'm going to put that at the end.
Probably right on average.
Yeah, I'm putting the Nugget stuff at the end. That
was it Red Dead Redemption 2 and Spider-Man, I think,
no,
all came out around the same time?
Spider-Man came out in 2018.
Yeah, Spider-Man's an older one.
Yeah, sorry,
Why
buddy.
is everything I'm looking at wrong? You guys are really fucking with me tonight.
I don't know.
All right, so let's open the Grand Grimoire and explore what's going on in Vagrant Story. John, do you want to explain it? Because you've played the game.
Wait, what are you saying, Jim?
Jim, are you admitting to something?
Are you admitting?
None of the rest of us have
Jim, are you
played it.
admitting to something that you're sure you want to admit to on the show?
Yeah, and you want to admit to, because we all have our own business, and it's up to us how much we want to disclose or not to the listeners.
I'll go on record as saying that I have not found the motivation to actually play this game, and I've been doing a lot of extracurricular studying so that I can be a somewhat informed podcast host.
Even with the help of Andraste.
Even with the help of Andraste, I just have not summoned up the will to get into what's going on here.
So as we all know,
I have finished every game that we've done on this show, and I will finish every one.
Matt's the
a
only
streak
one
I intend to keep alive.
Matt's the only one that's played and finished
How
every game 100%.
Even the seasons I wasn't on.
So as we all know, since we all played through this chunker, it turned out to be 12 hours long, which is too long for a chunker.
I mean, you knew it was going to be long. We talked about it on the last episode. You were like, I guess we can play this huge chunker.
Well, I don't know that we've ever really gotten into this, but John, in my opinion, based on my playthroughs versus John's, John takes at least 40 to 50% longer to play a chunker than the average person.
That is true, for sure.
Hold on, not average person, than me.
Okay.
I'll say that.
And a Matt.
Than me.
Because Matt always is like, I finished this game in 32 hours. How long do you take, John? 52.
There's been a few reverse cases of that, actually.
But I do appreciate how thorough John is. Although watching him play these games on Twitch is kind of excruciating sometimes.
That's true. But my my streaming box for old consoles broke. So I'm going to have to get an Elgato next month.
I know. I'm having a real John dry spell on Twitch.
So let's talk about the Undercity. So last time on Square Roots, you will remember we got into that fight with Rosencrantz, and he was like, I'm gonna leave you so mean to me, and he just ran off. And there's also the bit with Grissom, who tries to summon the dark energies, but it kills him because he's not strong enough. And then you fight him and that samurai
you have
thing.
to fight him with Sydney, right?
Yeah, after he died. He's undead at that point.
Oh, I thought he didn't die until after.
No, he definitely died and then came back.
I mean, there's dead and then there's dead.
And this game talks about
Congo,
that a lot.
I think. Vanessa, it's a line from the movie Congo.
Don't they talk about there's the death and then there's the not death that
in Congo or in Vagrant
in this
Story?
game. In this game.
They call it an incomplete death.
That's it. Yeah.
Yes.
It's the little death,
Yes.
The baby death. Oh, don't say baby death on here.
Yeah, let's not.
The Leppity more.
Exactly. So in the Undercity, you do fight
Leppity more. What's she talking about?
Don't worry.
Leppity more.
Leppity more.
Hi, my name's Leppity more.
Hi, Leppity more. How about we get a little Leppity less?
Oh, you.
I'm just kidding. I think you're sunshine.
Well, thanks, sugar. Have an extra cup on me.
Oh, thank you. I voted for Trump. But not
Leppity
all
more.
people with my accent too. I do not want to make broad generalizations.
Leppity Moore doesn't discriminate as long as you're polite, you pay, and you clean your plate.
Well, thank you, Leppity Moore.
I have to do my own dishes at this restaurant?
Yep.
1 star on Yelp.
Oh, I think you'll give Leppity Moore some extra stars when you find out what the house special is.
Oh, is it pie?
I'll give you a hint. It's named after me.
It's the antidote for the poison you just drank. Oh boy! So,
yeah,
you do
classic Square Roots character Leppity Moore.
Yep. There's a dark elemental. I find this one's the most annoying to fight because whatever affinities and weapons I've set up, I never can set up a weapon that does good damage to dark elementals. And it's like, I'm killing bosses. By the end of this chunk, I'm killing bosses in 4 or 5 hits. This thing takes me like 7 hits, and it turns up as a random, a random monster in a room. After this,
some of the other ones turn up as random encounters later as well.
All the elementals do for sure.
Yeah. Some of I think it's Dehulahan or something like that.
Yeah, the Dehulahans show up. There, you have to kill 2 of them at once. And so there's a room in the Undercity that is really annoying because it's like a sheer cliff that you have to jump up, but there's these flying enemies, these like gremlins that come and attack you, and they also don't take a lot of damage. And I couldn't figure out what their affinity was to because if you look at them, you can get their affinity, and then you can use whatever the opposite is to do tons of damage. Like you cast that onto your weapon. But I couldn't figure that one out. But right around now, you get... Oh no, it's a little bit later. You get Heracles, which you can boost your strength, and then you can get Prostasia, which boosts the all the stats of your equipment, and so then you can just start tearing through things, and that's how I've been.
So, John, the videos and explainers and guides that I've read / watched have all said Prostasia is a spell that you should be casting all the time.
Yeah. Unless there's a specific affinity that will do more damage, you should be casting Prostasia. So basically, anytime I start fighting enemies, I cast Heracles and Prostasia, and I destroy them. And that's kind of...
How long do they last?
Basically, as long as a fight. If it's a super long fight, you might have to cast it again, but by then you've already regained the MP, and they also make it really fast to kill enemies. So it's just the buffs and debuffs in this game work really well, which I love.
How have you gotten better at the combos?
Yeah, I can get up to 4 or 5. And when I'm doing the most HP a boss has had is 600, and I'm doing 150, and then I do a combo and get another 100. It goes pretty fast.
Some of the guides that I've watched have them chaining 8 to 10.
I can't
in a row.
I just can't.
Well, the problem with all that chaining too is that it jumps your risk up, which lowers your defenses.
But
so that you do all that chaining, and then they hit you, and they can hit you hard.
But if you can destroy a boss in one turn...
I'm really busy here thinking about Prostasia and how it sounds like a medication that would be advertised on television. Prostasia.
Warning. Use of Prostasia can cause
constant
diarrhea. Head explosion.
Sudden onset death.
Yeah, I don't know. All the other spell names make sense, but not Prostasia. I don't know what that.
Prostasia.
I mean, it protects you, right?
Nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, Prostasia.
Ow! I just don't have the same energy that I used to. Prostasia.
So yeah, you have to climb up this thing while being attacked by enemies that you can barely hit. My crossbow is named Bim Janks, so I do use that a lot.
Yeah.
And I do kill the gremlins with that. Muvuzu is my go-to human killing weapon. Livmox is my dragon killing weapon. And then I have Steve.
Don't know who that is.
Steve Stone is my evil undead killing weapon. And then I just have one called Splorchy that is an axe that I've like somehow made super crazy, and that's what I kill everything with now. So I just ignore affinities because I've got a super powerful weapon that I could just cast stuff onto to make it powerful against whatever and put some gems in. So that's how I'm beating this game. Do you
have to do a lot of swapping of gems?
Yes. Well, not as much, like, because this weapon is so powerful and I've got these boost spells, you don't have to really swap. I don't really swap weapons within a fight anymore because this one weapon's good.
So now that we've kind of in depth explained the game mechanics, can we stick to the plot for the rest of the episode, or do you have more?
I might interject.
Jim, stick to the plot banks.
I might interject if there's any more mechanical stuff that is important.
What's John? Can we transition to John's strat corner?
Well, I think we
just did.
Well,
he uses Prestigea.
There's one thing I did want to talk about.
Hercules.
He switches gems sometimes.
It's something
switches gems.
I realized when I was chatting with Matt earlier this week is this game is influenced by Diablo. It's like they saw Diablo and were like, oh, a game where you get lots of weapons and it's a loot game and you slowly get better ones. And, it's totally Diablo.
To your point, John, it's it's like Diablo, but this is a dungeon crawler RPG. So
right.
like there's a lot of like loot sometimes, and you're always kind of moving around fighting enemies. So yeah, they both fit into that genre.
But I think
and,
like
the
Diablo was a 90.
What I realized today, like because I googled dungeon crawler RPGs, kind of not my favorite genre, honestly.
Yeah, no, it's not a great.
Yeah, the problem is a lot of like classic RPGs we could talk about, like Shining in the Darkness and Arcana and stuff, are all dungeon crawling RPGs, but they're also a little on the boring side.
Yeah.
And on the so old they're unplayable side.
I don't know if Shining in the Darkness is easy and fun.
If my characters look like stick figures.
No, it's not that old. It's not that old. That's the same universe as Shining Force, so it's got the same art style as Shining Force.
Shining Force has an art style? I thought it was just anime.
Yeah. It's that. It looks like Shining Force.
I want to keep up with my grandkids, but at my age, Prestigea.
So the
hosted by Jamie Lee Curtis.
But it does remind me a lot of Diablo
because yogurt makes my poops so good.
But it doesn't have the color coding that Diablo brought to the world, and I think the color coding like makes it at a glance you can know if something's worth it. Mm-hmm. And in this, it's like you have to really but you can break down every weapon and then combine things. But
that still just takes so much time.
It does. That's why it's taken me. That's why I'm at 22 hours into this game, because I've been like breaking down and comboing and trying stuff again. And there's also a section we'll get to where I died 3 times, and it's an hour between saves.
I think when I was I sent Matt and Vanessa, and I guess also John, like a link to a YouTube video that kind of explains the game's plot. And like at the beginning, there's a very short explainer of the game's mechanics. And we've said this before. It's like it's Parasite Eve combat that's real time, but primarily menu based. Mm-hmm. Wow. The worst combination of RPG mechanics, I think, cause you want it to be real time, but you're always in the menus, and it's so slow. Like, it's just not, it's novel and that it's different, but it's very not fun.
It's like they looked at Diablo, but they didn't realize the addictive part of Diablo is that you're just clicking. You're just like click, 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 click.
Well, yeah, and the thing about Diablo is you're not in the menus very much unless you're back in town or you find like some really good loot.
Right.
Otherwise, you're just like clicking around and fighting skeletons and shit.
And this game also has a very tiny inventory for all the weapons you're picking up, and you pick up so many weapons.
And this game has a fucking terrible shit camera.
Oh, the worst thing though is to you want to put away weapons to combo later. But anytime you go into the it's got like a big chest that you can put all your items into. It takes a literal minute to load it in and to leave it, because
and also it's very easy because of the feedback options in this game, like the confirmation options, to put stuff in the chest and then leave the menu without confirming that you've put it in there and still have all that shit in your inventory. It is infuriating. Like, that happened to me multiple times where I put a bunch of loot in the chest and then went to go fight more enemies and was told that I had a full inventory, and it's like, I put all that stuff in the chest.
It's because you have to hit X to get out of that menu, but you are like, you feel like you should hit triangle to leave. But if you hit triangle,
but you still have to confirm it though.
No,
there's
but
like an extra confirmation step
definitely.
in the menu that like should not be there.
And every time
when you
open
put it in
and
there,
close,
it should be in there.
Every time you open that chest, 1 minute. Every time you close that chest, 1 minute. It's
a real bummer.
It's not good. We'll talk about when we do Final Judgment of this game next week. I am going to write out the list of things because I love this game so much, but it's so bad for me. And it doesn't treat me right. And I have to remember the things I don't like about it and not get caught up in my feelings because this game is not good to me. You know, like, this game has done bad, and I have to remember, I'm going to write future self the things that I feel right now so that I don't just get caught up in my love for this game and its crazy cutscenes that I love. Like, the cutscenes are amazing.
I like that you're mature and self-aware enough to realize those things, John.
It's just not, I might love this game, but it's not good for me. And we don't have a healthy relationship. This game does not treat me
take care of yourself first and foremost.
Yeah. So, next up is the Abandoned Mines. You fight 2 elementals in a row. There's the air elemental, which does look like a genie. And then there's the earth elemental, which is a roly-poly, a big guy. It's pretty funny. But the sequence of fighting the earth elemental is you get a timer that starts when you open a door, and then you have to go through like literally 15 rooms, while this timer's ticking down. Now, the timer only, ticks down when you're, controlling. So anytime you're attacking or in menus, it doesn't tick down. So it actually like takes 20 minutes or so. But if you run out of time and there's all these chests you can open and stuff that take extra time, it sends you back to the beginning. So I did, right before getting to the boss the first time, get sent back to the beginning, and you have to do all this all over again. Although the good thing is, like, you can open the chests and then get sent back to the beginning. Then you don't have to go do the chests again. So you can sort of beeline straight to the boss. So I did that. I recommend you do that. John's Strategy Corner.
Cool strat.
John's Strat Corner.
Then you fight an air dragon. This is probably the last time I used live mocks, because I found that just having, casting the element magic onto your weapon and using Heracles is much more useful than having a weapon per enemy, which is what we were doing for the first 2/3 of this game. But after this, I'm basically sticking to 1 or 2 weapons. Then there's our first cutscene. And so this is like 6 hours into the game, this chunker where we get our first cutscene. So Matt is right. So our first cutscene after 6 hours is Ashley starts hearing the voice of Agent Merlot, who's calling for Ashley. Cut to inside an old warehouse. Merlot's is waiting by a crate. The door is barred by a sigil. Hardin is not worried. He's there too with her. He's like, oh yeah, normally I don't just put a sigil in. I like guard the sigil's key with a monster. So that's why we've been having to defeat all these monsters to get the sigil keys. The Duke's son is there. And, Merlot remembers seeing him before where he was looked like a ghost. And said, he intends to die.
Yeah, I thought that was the little dead boy. But
that's 2 different.
No,
yeah, that's
okay.
two different characters.
No, Matt.
There's a little boy,
Matt,
and there's Ghost.
Matt. Merlot's saw an echo. That was the first of her scrying ability appearing, was her seeing that boy. And the game shows.
I agree.
The game shows that cutscene again, and then cuts to that boy immediately, like. So it's like, oh, this is the boy she saw before. Like, the game goes back and reminds you of that cutscene. And he says, like, it calls back to her, or her seeing him saying, he intends to die. The boy that Ashley saw was the boy who died at Punisher Park. So.
I don't think the little ghost boy is the boy that said he intends to die is the same boy as the little boy.
It shows her she sees the Duke's son or nephew or whatever.
You already explained it. I still don't know that I believe that that's what, I don't know that that's the case.
And then
is it cutting back to remember seeing him, or just is it echoing like, ooh, little boys? Because it does that.
It's the same boy.
There's lots of little boys.
It's the same boy.
It's the same boy.
There's the other little boy. There's Ash's little boy. There's the Duke's grandson little boy. There's Ghost Boy. So
the boy is very attached to Hardin, but he's super traumatized and not talking. And she's like wondering. Merlot keeps asking Hardin, so why'd you attack the Duke's Manor? Why'd you attack the Duke's Manor? He won't tell her, but then she suddenly starts like inadvertently using her scrying ability, that the city has given her. And, he remembers when his hometown had a wellspring and the Duke sealed it up because the Duke wanted, I guess, power over the town and did not want them drawing from the wellspring. So that is the Hardin's part of Hardin's motivation.
And the way you see it is like a little ghost image of him appears and just starts answering all her questions. And then the real Hardin is like, "Oh, you're reading my mind."
I thought this was
a fun way
to
show reading mind.
Really cool. And I love like the font they use when she's reading. It's like white text superimposed over the image and not like a speech balloon. And the other thing that she finds out from him is that the Duke wants to bury Leomond because the Duke knows he's dying very soon, and he feels like he's led a bad life, but still wants to go to heaven. So he's trying to do a good thing so he can get enough points to get into the afterlife.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Well, it does in the good place. Mm-hmm. So Merlot's keeps bugging him about why they invaded the manor, and he still won't answer, but then she's like, oh, she once again sees Ghost Hardin, and he's like, we were looking for the key. That's what you need to activate the Grand Grimoire. And Hardin's like, stop this. Don't look into my past. And she's like, well, what is happening? Why can't I even do this? He's like, well, it looks like you developed the Heartseer's ability from being here. And it's kind of dark magic that's it shouldn't be there, but it's become part of her. And this is what Sydney can do too, see their past. And Sydney can also push people to, believe things. That's why he was messing with Hardin before.
Sydney said that he can't see the past. He can only hear it.
That's
I remember.
True. But Hardin says he can see it. But, Sydney's very pedantic about how his powers work. Cut back to Ashley, and Ashley's like, is the past that Sydney showed me before a lie that he's just pushing on me to make me believe? Who knows? Now, next area you get to is the Undercity again, and it's filled with these things called Quicksilvers that are little puppets.
Little puppet girls.
Little puppet girls. And they cast silence on you all the time, and they suck. I hate them. So you sort of have to do the Bard's Tale thing of while they're off screen, casting all the magic you need, and then walking towards them. Because they won't, they can only cast that stuff when they're close enough to you.
Classic Bard's Tale strats.
Then you get the first boss in a series of 3, the Harpy, which I know Matt and Vanessa thought looked real cool.
Yeah, Harpy is great. It comes out and it's like plip plop, plip plop, plip plop on its 2 little feet. It's got 2 little feet, and then on top it's just a ball, and the whole ball is its face and head, and then it has like a little hat.
No, it's a bird head. It's got a bird head.
Like a little bird head on top of it.
It's a bird that's got like a face on the tummy.
Yes, and it's like a gold. It reminds me of the face from Chrono Cross. There's an enemy we fought that had like that weird giant face like that, and it's really creepy.
This looks like a Dark Souls boss.
Yeah, it's great.
Like, yeah, when Vanessa posted a screenshot of it today, I was like, oh, that's like a that's like a Bloodborne boss.
Yeah, it is super creepy. So you can kill these really fast. They're weak, but they have a 2-step process. They can cast Curse on you, and then they have a spell that will kill you if you're cursed instantly, just instant death.
Nice.
And that's
always fun.
These become a random, well, not a regular enemy after this too. So this whole dungeon is full of these things that can 2-hit kill you, and another enemy we'll get to that can 1-hit kill you, which is the next enemy, the Lich. So you walk into the next room and a Lich starts zapping around you, like it starts warping in front of you, behind you. It's a big, like fancy looking magic man, but he's undead. And he has a spell that does over 300 damage. You do not have 300 hit points at this point in the game.
Mm-mm.
So
it hits like every part of your body.
Yeah.
This becomes more and more frequent as well. Spells that just hit every part of your body.
Yeah. And this is a problem because he's very, very powerful and can kill you in one hit. So what you need to do every time you fight one of these is cast Magic Ward on yourself, which will absorb one magic attack, and you'll get basically a free hit. But the downside is, from now on, the Liches only appear with Quicksilvers, the little puppet girls, who cast Silence on you, and that will either absorb the hit of the Magic Ward you have, or they will stop you from casting Magic Ward, and then the things can 1-hit kill you. I should also mention, this dungeon has no save points. Before that, there's a save point every 5 to 10 minutes. There's a whole hour that goes by in this dungeon of game time with no saves. This took me 3 tries. So my game clock says 22 hours, but add an extra 3 hours of me, or 2 hours of me doing this and dying. This sucks. This is going on
John,
my list.
What motivates you to keep doing this? Because, like, if I played a game for 2 hours,
Jim's about to try and convince you to just not do next week's episode and start Mass Effect.
If I played a game for 2 hours, died and lost my progress, I'd be pissed.
I played it for 1 hour, died and lost my progress.
Yeah, it would be very hard for me to pick that game up again. Like, how do you what's your thought process like for doing that?
I think that I feel like if I don't do this, then I'm going to not be good at the podcast anymore. And I want to, it's like, no, the only thing that gets me through doing this podcast is that I have beat every game we've done. And so it's just like what do you call that?
I'm just trying to keep the streak alive.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I know that
got it.
I can do it. It's just hard.
I ruined my streak years ago, so it's easy for me to just abandon.
But if I don't do this one, then I'm going to cop out of not doing the other ones. It's like, nope.
I do appreciate, John is kind of like John is the rock
John
of the podcast.
Doesn't finish a game, he quits the show, is what he's saying.
Pretty much.
But if John's like, I don't know if I can finish this, I'll be like, there's no fucking way I could do it. If John can't do it, I can't do it.
Mm-hmm. John has a superhuman determination.
Yeah.
He does.
I'm not good at games, but I will finish them.
Yeah, good for John, though.
Unfortunately, this Lich becomes a regular enemy afterwards and can kill you in one hit, and it sucks.
And he teleports, which is great.
Yeah. The next boss we hit in this section is the Night Stalker, which is just another one of them floaty armor sets. Not a problem. So now, like, after the first time I died was after getting through these 3 bosses, and I was just leaving, but there's a room right when you're leaving that has 2 harpies and Puppet Girl, and I was like, oh, I'll just attack one of these harpies before I leave, see if it's got good items. And this is when I found out about the harpy's ability to cast Curse on you and then banish, which will kill you immediately. So that was fun. And now there's a chest here that you get an iron key with, and there's a whole bunch of doors you can get, you can open with the iron key throughout the dungeons. And you might be like, well, how do you get around? Well, it turns out after you defeated the Night Stalker, after you defeated the Lich, you got the ability now to teleport at save points. So now you can go between every save point in the game, which is very useful. So that
does sound useful. Fast travel all the time. That's my platform when I run for president. Fast travel everywhere from the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I agree. I think that we should have bullet trains everywhere.
Yeah, not hyperloops. Hyperloops are expensive and stupid, but bullet trains are great.
You know what's even worse is the American hyperloop where it says 2-person per car. Fuck that. But yeah, no, high-speed trains. Pete Buttigieg, give me that by the end of what
2021, year is it? 2020?
The end of 2024. I'll give him 4 years to do it.
Yeah. And then if he does it, he gets 4 more. What I want to do is get some chopsticks, like huge chopsticks, like bigger than you could possibly even put in your hand. But I want to find a way to use them. Mm-hmm. I want to get chopsticks. I want to pinch a bullet train in between them and like twirl it up like spaghetti and put it right in my mouth. I love bullet trains so much.
That is such an amazing, like, metaphor or whatever you just did. I like it.
A visual.
Thanks, Jim.
A visual, yeah. Because like the idea of wrapping up a bullet train and slurping it into your mouth.
Oh my God.
That sounds like, some of that deviant art about giant women. That does sound like something they would do.
Ooh, yeah. My favorite bit on We Hate Movies is when they mention giant women and Andrew goes, a giant woman!
So,
I do feel like there's sort of a giant woman inside me, you know? Like, I think I could do it.
You know what, Vanessa? That's your OnlyFans. Like, someone was telling me just today about a woman's OnlyFans where all she does is sit on cakes.
Oh yeah, that's very popular kind of stuff.
Yeah, and she makes a ton of money just sitting on cakes.
Yeah, but I don't want to sit on a cake. I want to stomp a whole city.
You need to, like, get model trains and stomp on a bullet train and charge people, like, $40 a month for it.
I feel like we might have talked about this on the show before.
Really? Vanessa's giant woman, like,
Vanessa knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we have. I know what you're talking about.
We've talked about giant women before?
Never mind, Jim.
Don't worry about it.
Okay. Why do I not have to worry about it? Now I'm even more curious.
Go listen to some of our old episodes where I
don't remember either.
You don't remember the guy that wanted me to stomp on his...
Oh, I do remember that. Yes.
Oh, no.
The guy that wanted John to step on his model cities.
Yes, exactly.
I do remember that.
That must be where I got my idea.
So, they, continuing, you go through some more areas, and then you run upon Tiger and Nisa, who, Nisa you met before, who does sound like the guy that Darth Vader promotes. He's like, Admiral Nisa, right? Remember?
Yeah, I remember. After he pinches the one guy and he's like, hey, now you're in charge. And the guy's like, I don't want to be in charge. I'll get paid.
Tugging on his collar.
He's like, this is not how I wanted to be promoted.
So she's the lady with the actual Scottish accent. Who
not the one I claim has a Scottish accent, who apparently doesn't.
Just because she's wearing a kilt. She's the one who looks like...
It's not a kilt.
Like Fran with bunny ears. Without bunny ears.
She doesn't have bunny ears.
Sorry, Fran without bunny ears. And her brother, although I think they might be using brother in like a metaphor way, not like an actual brother way. So they find Grissom's body on top of a flight of stairs and are very upset. And they see Ashley and are like, you're the one who killed Grissom. You killed our brother, Grissom. And they run after you. And
like,
I do like that. So Ashley,
Grissom.
Grissom was the one who killed himself and then you fought his body after it came back to life. But the best part is, so they say, and then Ashley's like, opens a door and leaves.
I loved that. He just like looks at them and he's like, goodbye. He sort of backs out of it.
Yep. But unfortunately they can teleport. So they are inside the room he goes into and you do have to fight them. Tiger and Nisa. Now, here's the thing that I didn't realize. You can just kill one of them defeat one of them and it ends the fight. And Nisa has much less hit points than Tiger. But even then, it took me like just a few, like I was doing 50 damage. He has 500 hit points. So I guess it took me 10 hits to, take Tiger out. And then you get it.
Vanessa.
Yeah.
I'm afraid that we've just dropped this name in here with no context. Can you describe Tiger for us?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Who the fuck is Tiger?
Tiger. Well, the wonderful thing about Tiger is that Tiger is a wonderful thing. Mm-hmm. He's sort of a stripe boy. Mm-hmm. He can bounce very hard.
No, you have misunderstood.
This is a different
That's
Tiger.
The great thing about Tiger, who
he
I
looks
definitely
like,
know who it. Hang on, I'm
Wolverine's
gonna
brother. Okay, go ahead.
Tiger looks like a really buff Sephiroth. Tiger is like Sephiroth, and he got all buffed up, and then he was like, "Now that I'm heckin' buff, I don't need to wear a shirt anymore." But
That's true.
He doesn't want to like totally eschew the rules of society, so he wears like not really a vest. It's kind of like a strap.
Well, he's got like a pauldron on.
Yeah,
one arm.
He has a pauldron, and then he has a strap of leather X's across his chest. He has one armored arm and one that just has like a glove armor. His arms are like thick AF. They are thicker than his size. He has a huge axe, and he's wearing a diaper.
Well, Sephiroth really hammered that giant samurai sword into that giant plowshare into an axe.
He did. And then he has like knee-high armor boots.
Yeah, he does. I like how he's just got a little thigh showing.
Yeah,
that's for the ladies.
Yeah, just a peek of thigh, and then as I said, he has sort of a double layered diaper on.
He's kind of beefy, but he's got a waist as thin as a pencil. So I'm going to go ahead and assume he's disqualified from Johnny's beefy boy crushes.
Right, but you know what we haven't discussed at all throughout the series in Vagrant Story, and this is episode 3, so it's really on me that we haven't talked about this. Vanessa.
Yeah.
Are there any Vanessa boyfriends in Vagrant Story?
Oh, yes. All of the boys in this story pretty much have floppy hair. They have that waspish waist that I love because it means I could just crack them if they get out of line.
Jesus.
Just snap them.
Is this part of your
right
giant OnlyFans?
Oh, yeah. Let me snap that back, boy.
I'll break you.
So, it's like when choosing a boyfriend, you have to be pretty careful because you can't just go with like who you initially see. Like everyone's going to look at Ashley and be like, man, that dumper, that's the boy for me. But really his personality is not great. For one thing, he has amnesia. And for another thing, he's like a murderer.
And he has terrible hair.
You're talking about Ashley here?
Yeah, Ashley. Okay. Mm-hmm. Sydney...
What about old Eminem? What's his name?
Guildenstern.
Romeo. Guildenstern and Rosencrantz.
Vanessa's
Guildenstern.
going through. Why are we interrupting her? She obviously has a list. She's going through one by one.
Right.
I've thought very carefully about this. There's bowl cut. Obviously, he's disqualified because he does have a blonde bowl cut.
Dwayne.
Yeah.
Dwayne?
Also, his name is Dwayne. Tiger is just kind of like a jock kind of guy, and I don't think we'd have very much to talk about at the end of the day. Plus, as I've said on the podcast before, there's a fine line between floppy and long. I like floppy hair. I don't like long hair. And I think that he has kind of cut his way right over to long hair, and I'm just not interested.
It's definitely Chad Kroger length.
Yeah, and nobody wants a Chad Kroger. Grissom is dead, so that's not cool. So I think that, honestly, the guy for me would have to be Hardin.
Hold on, Chad Kroger?
Yeah, isn't that his name?
No, Kroger's
I don't
the name
know who that is. I was just
Kroger's the name of a grocery chain where I picked up my groceries today.
Who's Nickelback?
Yeah, definitely no. There's definitely nobody named Kroger in the
Chad
world.
Kroger?
Yeah.
No, it is Kroger.
Okay.
No, there's Chad Mozart.
No. Chad Kroger, right? Or is it Kruger?
Maybe it's Kruger. You know what I'm talking Nickelback.
Kroger's definitely where I picked up my block of Velveeta cheese today.
We had King Supers where I lived in the States.
Okay, King Super is a place, not where I live, but it's
the same brand. They had Kroger brand everything.
Yes, yeah. Kroger, Dillon's, Food Lion, I think is maybe another one.
Did they have Kroger's in LA? I lived in LA for a year. I remember there's Safeway.
That might be
Vons.
a Fred Meyer. Fred Meyer is West Coast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Fred Meyer's West Coast. I think Safeway kind of is West Coast. I don't know. QFC, West Coast. Yeah, so I'm going to go with Hardin. I know this might be like a shock choice because he does have a beard, but you can always take that right off. He's kind to children, and even though he's a filthy kidnapper, he's mostly respectful. And, he has a lot going on in his internal world, and I think I could save him.
What about Sydney and Rosencrantz?
Well, Sydney is so much, and Rosencrantz has that mustache.
Sydney does seem like a lot of work.
So,
Yeah.
guys, I had a question. So, like, the video that I sent to Matt that I watched today also had Rosencrantz because he's wearing a red outfit tagged as a Red Knight.
Oh.
Did you,
what does that mean?
ever
I don't
mentioned?
think so.
What does that mean?
So, Red Knight is a job in Final Fantasy, right? Or
I don't think so.
There's
you're
Red
thinking
Mage.
of a Red Mage. I don't think it does tag him as that. I think it just describes him as that, as a knight in red.
They very specifically mention, they call him a Red Knight, and they mention his red outfit multiple times in that video. So I didn't know if it was
Maybe it's just to tell everyone apart?
Okay.
The more you talk about his red outfit, the more I feel like I made the wrong choice. But he's so clearly religious, and that's not going to work.
Rosencrantz? No, he's not.
No, Rosencrantz is not religious. He's a very dastardly man.
Yeah. Rosencrantz...
He has a mustache. Don't trust that guy.
He wears a giant cross on his chest.
No, he doesn't.
So does everybody.
It's cut out of it, if you think about it.
It's a peekaboo window.
He doesn't have a cross on his chest. He has a peekaboo window.
Oh, man, I never thought about it that way. Okay, she's Rosencrantz.
He's saying that if this cross is God to you and I cut it out and just show my sweet pecs, then my sweet pecs are God.
Exactly. And that kind of fits with his character, too. And he's kind of a jerk, which I know Vanessa does like.
I do kind of like that.
He's the biggest jerk in the game, Rosencrantz.
Yeah, well, Romeo's up there, too. I know Romeo's abusive, so I think that's why he's not on Vanessa's list.
Yeah.
I won't even consider Romeo.
Yeah.
I think Vanessa's too good to ever be even seen with a man named Romeo.
What about Lil Romeo, Master P's son?
What about him?
Oof, harsh. Matt literally just dropped his mic and then walked out of the room.
Well, you know how Matt feels about Lil Romeo, and you bring it up just to agitate him. They got beef.
Got beef.
So you do defeat Tigger and Nisa, and they're like, oh, do you still have the ability to fly? And she's like, oh yeah. So they just warp out of there. It's pretty great. I think Nisa is my favorite of the bad guys. She's a lot of fun.
They're knights, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they're part of the
Crimson Blades.
Yeah, they're part of the Blades. So then you go back into the room with the stairs, and they're there with Grissom's body. And Ashley's like, why is Grissom's body there in the first place? I didn't kill him there. That's weird. Grissom does stand up with Tigger and Nisa, and he's like, sorry, I'm having problems moving. My body isn't cooperating. Like, he's all messed up. And
it's a very Weekend at Bernie's situation.
Uh-huh. And Tigger's like, sorry, brother.
It's not actually.
No, yeah. Well, we cannot help you now. And he's like, why? He's like, and they're like, okay, you know how you were living before? How you were alive and like were warm and your blood was flowing, your heart was beating. Yeah. You don't have that anymore. And he's like, then they're like, so we gotta go. Sorry, dead brother. And he's like, I don't want to be, well, I guess this beats being one of the Walking Dead, but he does scream, and his scream is written out as UHOOOOOH. Which, yeah, you're supposed to, I think you're supposed to read like Vanessa does, but it to me just reads as, uh-oh.
That's good. That's great.
Yes, you're one of the,
Whoops.
oh, and then he just does the Kevin from Home Alone face.
Yeah, that's amazing. Sometimes localizations are the best.
And he does get a voice that tells him to kill them all.
Oh, that gave me a chill.
Kill them.
Ooh.
Something.
I watched Batman Returns last night, and I think Danny DeVito's whispers are like, if you could turn them into something you could build things off of, every nightmarish thing that's ever happened were built off Danny DeVito's whispers.
Now, when
like,
you saw,
they are terrifying.
When you saw Giuliani giving that interview and he had the black hair dye streaking down his face, did that not remind you of Danny DeVito in Batman Returns?
It did remind me of that because Danny DeVito, if you pay really close attention in that movie, whenever he speaks, he's kind of spewing green goo out of his mouth, and he's really constantly dripping it, and it's gross, but it's very Giuliani.
Yeah.
That movie, by the way, fucking incredible. It's even better, like, in 2020 than it was, like, in 91 or whatever it came out.
It's great. It's a real good Christmas movie, and the rumor is that Christopher Walken's character might have been based off a certain New York businessman we all know.
Oh, a certain old DT?
Ooh.
Yeah, could be a little DT in there.
He is a very DT, so is a DTJ the Chip Shrek, or is that Eric Trump?
Ooh, that's Eric.
Yeah.
It does feel like an Eric.
Yeah.
It's kind of a douchey, ugly son. Yeah.
Tell us how you really feel.
Except that's Andrew Bryniarski, who played Zangief in the Street Fighter movie, who was part of my sexual awakening. So don't talk shit about him, please. He's not ugly. He is a handsome man that looks very good as Zangief in the Street Fighter movie.
Chip Shrek?
Chip Shrek turns out to be Zangief. The same actor is in Street Fighter the movie.
He looks so totally different in Batman Returns.
He was already kind of like, he was big and meaty even then.
He does look bigger, but like they really tone it down in the film with like his pea coat and all that stuff. Like when the Penguin attacks that speech, and you only get a couple really good glimpses of him, but there's one where he's trying to protect his dad from the Red Triangle gang, and he's like, "Go ahead, Dad." And it's like the only thing that looks big is his lips. He looks like he has giant lips.
Yeah,
but like,
giant.
Yeah, you don't ever really get a good look at him in the movie, really.
Well, you do get a very good look at him in Street Fighter the movie.
One of the best movies ever made.
Oh,
it's a good movie.
So
the walls start talking to Grissom
and telling him to kill, which is something we're all familiar with, right? Right? Am I right?
Yeah.
Am I right?
It says to kill all his friends because they dream of killing him. And Grissom's like, are the walls talking to me? That's weird. Anyway, so he just, he squad-a-laws and zooms off into the sky. Oh, I loved it. Squad-a-law, we're off. And then Tiger and Nisa run off. Although you wonder, if you have the power to teleport, why do they run off? Why can't they just like go zoop?
They're scared. Teleportation requires a center of spirit and a kind of peace with the universe, an ability to visualize where you're going to go, and a will to fold the laws of space and time to get there. And you can't do it when you're scared.
You know, I like your fan theory here.
Fan theory? Excuse me.
That came off way more dismissive than I meant. I just like your
nice headcanon, Mary.
Yeah, I was going to say, is headcanon better? I guess not.
No.
So, cut to the Grand Cathedral. Romeo Guildenstern is there with Samantha, Luc Besson girl, and Rosencrantz. Rosie does step on a cloudstone to descend, and it looks real goofy. And they're just talking. At this point, Romeo's just had it up to here with Rosencrantz, and Rosencrantz is like, whatever, I'm doing my own thing. I like it anytime anyone steps on a cloudstone in cutscenes. It looks really silly. So, then it cut to Hardin is looking up at this logo on the ceiling. It's this image that I think is very important. This is called the Blood Sin, we find out. And it's on the roof of this building. Merlot's, looks over at the Duke's son, is like, oh, you're a brave boy. And
Wait, roof? It's on the ceiling, isn't it?
Or ceiling, sorry. Yeah, ceiling.
The ceiling is just the underside of the roof.
Yeah.
It's the inside roof.
Yeah. The ceiling is the inside roof. Everyone's favorite kid song.
Yeah.
The ceiling is the inside roof. Inside roof.
The ceiling is the belly of the roof.
What?
The ceiling is the belly of the roof. Like if the roof is its back. If the roof is its back, belly. The ceiling is its belly.
Oh. Okay. So, Merlot's likes this kid, and Hardin is nice to him, and the kid really likes him. He's always like hiding by Hardin's legs, and I like the motion capture of the boy. It's always cute. Is
it always cute? Because I remember one cutscene where that kid looked creepy AF.
That's true.
He's supposed to be creepy. Everyone in black and white is supposed to be creepy.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
No, this is the scene where the little boy's like running and his mouth is open. He's like, ah.
Oh, this kid's mouth is open 95% of the time.
That's true.
Like, his mouth, like, whenever they want him to convey an emotion, they just open his mouth, which is like the creepiest thing in the world. Like, go back and just like, listeners, go on YouTube and look at the cutscenes of Vagrant Story. Whenever they want this kid to communicate anything, they just open his mouth. Mm-hmm. Like, the other characters, they will have their chins moving when they have dialogue. This kid, they just open his fucking mouth. It's weird. It's weird.
So I think Merlot's is curious why he's treating the boy so well. And she doesn't even ask him at this point, but she gets one of those scrying flashbacks, and she remembers. And so, yeah, the ghost Tim is standing in a corner telling her about this. He was delivering swords in the Peace Guard, and he was caught selling some on the black market. And the government, I guess this was the Blades, gave him a deal, or the Duke's forces he was in. He could betray his friends and walk free. And that way save his brother, who was super sick. They would give him money, or he would go to jail. And so he did. He betrayed his friends, sold them out, but they didn't set him free. They kept him in prison, and eventually he broke out and went to go see his little brother, who died while he was in prison. Vanessa, this is the guy that you're into?
No. I changed my mind. I like red suit.
Well, you know that tracks. Given the handsome Jack and everything, it does track.
Yeah, it does. And I was just thinking about how I could snap his little straps. It'd be fun.
Mm-hmm. Boing, boing.
Yeah.
But you got to deal with that mustache.
And
shave that right off.
So Merlot's turns to Hardin's like,
part of Vanessa's giant woman thing is that she'll just snatch a man up and shave his face.
Yep, that's true.
Whether he likes it or not.
I will. They should be grateful that I don't wax it.
So she does turn to Hardin and says, you joined the Mullen camp to get revenge, but doing this will not bring your brother back. And Hardin's like, you scry too much, woman. You go too deep.
He does call her woman.
Yes. Or does he call her witch?
He calls her both, but he calls her woman at that point.
Yeah. And Hardin lifts up his hand to slap her. And, oh yeah, Vanessa, he is about to hit her.
I told you I don't like Hardin anymore. You don't have to keep convincing me. Okay. I made a mistake.
And and she like cringes back, thinking she's about to get hit, but then she opens her eyes, and he has been arrowed to the tum-tum.
He got an arrow in his tum-tum.
Mm-hmm.
I just like some random.
Yeah. No, I thought it was Romeo.
No, it's like one of his men.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. And he's just going boop, 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 boop up on the Cloudstone. I love it. Then you fight some more, back to Ashley. You fight some more bosses. The water elemental. At this point, you can really stack your gear against these elementals, so you can kill them in a couple of hits. It's great. I love breaking this game. After being so mad at it, getting to destroy all these bosses is great. The next one you fight is the Ogre Lord, which is a really cool version of the Muscle Dobby you remember from the last episode, but with an even fancier mask. And there's a cutscene after you kill it where it like comes back to life and it comes to, strike Ashley, but then disappears into a puff of smoke. It's great. And then we get our first real jumping challenge. And this took me half an hour. There's this, it looks like there's a jump you can't make, but you have to make there's like one square where you can jump to, and you have to go on this Cloudstone and jump from the Cloudstone to this one square. And it looks like it's a little too far, but the momentum as the Cloudstone moves down and to the north gives you a slight boost to be able to do the jump, but it's like a split second timing that you have to get. And I hate it. I hate it so much. This took me so long.
How dare they try to stuff fucking platforming into this game?
The game controls
when
like
the
garbage.
controls are already trash. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, Ogre Lord, a really cool version of Muscle Dobby, but with a fancier mask. I did like his mask. It looks like a different mask from Majora's Mask. This one actually looks like Majora's Mask. The other one looked like the little shooty things from Majora's Mask. You know, like the things that spit out the one ball you can reflect, and that's how you like get them to sell stuff to you in the first Legend of Zelda. Anyone? Listeners know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about. It looks like a sort of an octopus, birdo, squid kind of thing.
And they're like in a plant. They always have like a little plant hat. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway.
Plant hat.
So, the next thing you defeat is the Snow Dragon. At this point, I just like cast fire. I equipped all my fire gems, put on my fire amulet, and then cast fire on my axe. And I ripped through this thing in 10 seconds. It was amazing. This game is very easy now.
You spend more time buffing your character than you do fighting the fucking
No, you really
boss.
do. You really do. So then we get to our first really annoying block puzzle. The guide that I read is like, if you don't want to do this, just use a fairy wing, which is an item. Oh, and there's some other guy, like I Googled how to do this puzzle and they're like, use a fairy wing and it's a doddle. But it wasn't because...
Excuse me, why is that a Cockney accent?
Because only English people say doddle.
Nobody says doddle.
English people say doddle.
I'm positive that's a phrase I've never heard.
Dawdle was a word I got in the spelling bee when I was a kid.
My mom says doddle. She's like, oh, it's a doddle. It's your bailiwick.
Doddle? Doddle?
Yes. Yes. But unfortunately, these fairy wings are random.
Suck it, 5th grade, Jim.
Are random drops, and I just haven't gotten any. But this block pushing puzzle has like 3 different types of blocks. There's like blocks you can only push a certain amount of times before they disappear. There's these magnetic blocks that bounce same polar blocks a space above. This takes like, even following a guide, this still takes like 15 minutes. I can't imagine. I would not do this without a guide. Like, do not bother. These puzzles are terrible. They shouldn't be in the game. They're a waste of time. They are awful. So yeah, block puzzles. Don't like them.
Jim looks like he's holding his breath again.
No, I don't have to anymore because I don't have the hiccups.
You could just for fun, though.
I'm cured. Ooh, that's not a hiccup.
Oh, God. I hate it.
Stop.
No.
You're
No,
gonna
no,
give
no,
yourself,
no, no,
himself
no.
you're
hiccups
gonna give
again.
yourself hiccups if you fake having
probably
hiccups.
will.
So then the next cutscene, is Romeo interrogating, what's his name? Hardin again, to find out where the key to the Grand Grimoire is. And Hardin is not telling. Romeo starts compelling him, but Hardin's like, no, really, buddy, I do not know. And Merlot's is holding the fancy boy back because the fancy boy does want to rescue Hardin. Romeo, turns out, has powers just like Sydney. And Hardin's like, well, how do you have this? And Romeo turns to the camera and says, you think the dark flows only in your city. You underestimate the cardinal. Dun, dun, dun. And Romeo casts a crazy spell on Hardin and makes himself look like Sydney. And
it's just like an illusion.
Yeah, I love this. So he's like tricking Hardin into thinking Sydney's there. And Hardin's like, well, the Bloodsin is the key. And the successor will be able to control the dark. And so that seems to be the whole point of this thing. And then Hardin is real mad that he was tricked, like a big tricked boy. And Romeo's like, oh, I've heard of this Bloodsin. During the Inquisition of the Heretics, the rood in verse was carved on them.
Yeah, this is not explained in the game. The rood rood, R-O-O-D.
Did you just take up?
Inverse. No.
Okay.
R-O-O-D inverse.
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
It's an abjuration of the flesh. And you might think, oh, an abjuration of the flesh. But I don't have galaxy mind, so I do have this little note. The definition of abjure. It's a transitive verb, formal, to renounce upon oath. For instance, he abjured his allegiance to his former country. So these were like heretics against whatever the religion of Saint Iocus that someone in our Facebook group was telling us lots of details on, because that's a big part of War of the Lions. Like the extra content to Final Fantasy Tactics is all about this Saint Iocus. And yeah.
I played that and I don't know what you're talking about.
It's all Ivalice stuff. So it's like, an abjuration of the flesh means the tattoo is like saying, I'm no longer a heretic, because they tattooed it on them. They are abjuring their false religion. So this tattoo is called Bloodsin, and Romeo remembers Sydney has one. And so Sydney has everything he needs to take the city. He's got all the souls because of all the people that died in the earthquake. Sydney has the key because he is the key. And he has the Grand Grimoire.
And he is the key because he has the tattoo on his back?
Yeah.
So it's the tattoo's been on his back this whole game.
Yeah, exactly.
I do like this turn, though. The fact that, like, he had the key the whole time and it's on his back. I like that. It's cool. And, like, his assistant, what's that guy's name? Hardin?
Yeah.
It feels, like, betrayed by it. Because, like, this whole thing was to find the key to lay him on to unlock the dark or whatever, and like he had it the whole time, which sets up like some really good tension between him and his second in command, which I thought was really cool.
Because Romeo makes the accusation that the reason Sydney isn't doing it because he has everything he needs is because he's waiting for the Duke, and he's going to give the power to the Duke to control the city. And Hardin's like, no, that's not true. That's impossible.
Yeah, I do like that. I do like Hardin's character. I think is my favorite because he's very into what Sydney has going on. He's very powerful himself, but like he's very naive.
Yeah.
And like I mean, he's naive relative to everyone else around him. Like everyone else has a plan with a sub-plan with a sub-plan. Like, everybody else has so many things going on, and he's just like, I really wanted to see what Sydney's doing.
He's just as full trust in Sydney. He's also the only person you see doing nice things other than Merlot's.
He wants things to work out for the better. And he's like kind of like the only character that wants that.
Well, Merlot's too, I think, is the only other.
Yeah. Well, like Merlot's is kind of a non-character, honestly.
Yeah.
She's she's very much a damsel
It
character.
kind of sucks that she was kidnapped because you could get her interpretation of.
You really could, and she's kind of wasted, honestly.
Yeah.
She's
I mean,
very
she's
much wasted.
more your audience surrogate than
Not
Ashley
even that.
is.
With
Than
an
Ashley
audience
is.
surrogate, you get their perspective.
Yeah.
You never really get her perspective in the game. She's just there.
Yeah, she's just reacting to things.
Yeah.
she's there for people to talk at.
Yes.
And
she's there for Ashley to look for.
And then it cuts to Merlot saying, "Stop!" And then the boy's creepy mouth opens, just like a talking cat. And
Talking cat.
and then cut to, you see Hardin has been stabbed through by Romeo, and he falls dead on the floor.
He tricks Romeo.
Yep.
So Romeo tricks Hardin. So Romeo is asking for all of this information about the blood sin. He wants to know where the key is.
Mm-hmm.
And so Hardin's not giving anything up. So he casts an illusion spell on him
Mm-hmm.
where he appears before him as Sydney.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, tell me what you know. It's fine. I saved you. And so he gives up the fact that the blood sin is the key.
Yeah. And that's the tattoo.
And then after that, you learn that the blood sin is a tattoo, and then Romeo stabs Hardin.
Yeah. After saying, "Oh yeah, and your friend probably betrayed you, and he's going to sell you out to the Duke."
Yes. He calls him naive, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then he kills him. And
he stabs him. He doesn't kill him. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
He stabs him. He doesn't kill him.
Okay, I didn't know that. So Merlot's then gets a flashback of Fancy Boy in I think this cathedral or a different. I don't know if it's a different cathedral, but Fancy Boy.
This is what creeps me out.
Because Fancy Boy standing in front of this statue of a very merry looking figure, and then turns and sees the Duke in the doorway, and he's he opens his mouth and wordlessly runs towards the Duke. Why'd it creep you out?
Well, because his mouth, when he opens it, is just like a little black void.
They are very, they're weirdly black voids.
Have you seen
he doesn't
a
have
talking
any
cat?
Teeth. No, but I know of it.
That's how they make the cat talk, is they put a black void on the cat's
Oh,
face.
God.
So the Duke walks in and they hug. And that's the end of that little flashback. Now to the Temple of Kiltia, which is not the Grand Cathedral. It's outside of it. You do fight a Last Crusader, which is, I think, the final armor guy. Basically a Doulahan thing that you fight. There's another sliding box puzzle.
Hold on. You say Doulahan?
Yeah.
Why'd you call it Doulahan?
That's one of the boss fights.
Why'd you say that name?
That's his name.
It's really interesting because there's an empty suit of armor that you fight in Dragon Quest XI that's also called a Doulahan.
I think it's a
Well,
real...
it's it's like a folktale thing
Yeah.
from
it's a folktale
Ireland
thing.
or Scotland.
Okay, that makes more sense. I was like, whoa, what's the
It's like a folktale monster.
connecting tissue there?
So there's one more sliding box puzzle. This one literally has 20 steps that you must do. Ugh,
Yoinks.
Another cutscene. It cuts to Sydney. He knows he just says Hardin. So he knows Hardin's dead. Rosencrantz walks in and Sydney's he realizes Sydney wants the risk breaker to succeed him. And, Sydney's
That being Ashley.
yeah, I want, Sydney's I want Ashley to rule the city. And Rosencrantz
And he's Ashley. And Sydney's yeah, he's perfect. He's he's super tortured. His butt hangs out all the time. And I love him.
Rosencrantz is very upset. He says, and here's the name drop, that weak-spirited Vagrant?
Oh, what's his story?
He has the unquestioning faith of a child in his morality. And Sydney's well, that's better than you, who serves no master and is just a real jerk face.
Fucking harsh.
Ashley would not misuse the dark. I can't control you, but I can control Ashley. Oh no, wait, that's not true. So then Sydney does try to control Rosencrantz with his magic, and Rosencrantz is like, your Jedi mind tricks have no effect on me.
Yeah, he's like, ho, 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 ho. GB Jedi. GB Jedi.
Bantha Poodoo. So then you do fight a Minotaur. How do you say it? Minotaur?
Minotaur.
I love that. I'm sorry.
Minotaur.
It's
you
cute,
fight
though.
a Minotaur.
I do like, this is like the first time in the podcast history that John has mispronounced something. Cause like, I don't know if listeners will remember, but I mispronounced something probably 3 years ago, and it was the word ennui, and I pronounced it NUI, and John fucking shredded me. So hearing John mispronounce words is just, I love it.
Remember the other day when Nat said, Crucible?
Yeah, Crucible.
That's still my favorite. He's not here right now.
I, on the other hand, never mispronounce my words.
You never have.
Well, you don't deliberately, or you don't do it out of not knowing the word. You do sometimes like add letters and vowels.
I like
and
to
syllables.
add letters, vowels, or syllables.
And then we have to re-record the opening again.
I get excited. I get excited.
Exactly. So you fight Minotaur Lord.
It's like a minute. A Minotaur. A Minotaur.
Minotaur.
He's got cool looking stripes and awesome horns. And then there's a block puzzle that comes in 2 parts. You have to like get blocks to a certain place so you can jump over a chasm. I mean, we've established this. I hate these. Then you walk through a door and you get beamed on the noggin by Rosencrantz.
Yeah, that's just such a crazy thing. He gives you the real, like, bottom of the sword hilt kind of thing.
And Rosencrantz is like, this guy is your successor? He sucks. And, you know, the Duke is going to be killed soon and you're about to die. So, like, why don't you name me a successor? Because why not? At this point, you might as well. And Sydney's like, and he's like holding Sydney at sword point. And Sydney's like, I will name you Worm.
Oh, I love that.
It's not even that. He's like worm crawling on the ground on your little
He's like
worm
kicking up the dirt or something like that. Like, it's a very like very descriptive personal thing, which I thought was really cool.
And then Rosencrantz gets so mad, he chops off Sydney's arm. And Sydney's like, oh, my arm. Oh, that's so sad. And he stands up, he picks up his arm, and then reattaches it. And he turns.
Honestly, like, when he cuts his arm off, I was surprised. I was like, holy shit.
So.
And then he just puts it back on.
Sydney turns to the camera and says, my name is Sydney. I can put my arm back on. You can't. Play safe.
Yeah.
Only Canadian kids will get that joke.
Know.
And you know what? We're cool. And it's great.
Hashtag Canadians.
Yep.
At the very beginning of this series, I argued that Sydney's arms were robot arms. And y'all disagreed, but I think that this adds a lot of credence to my theory.
You know, Vanessa, you're right.
I mean, he does take his arm off.
So Sydney then does this awesome mind trick on Rosencrantz, where Rosencrantz thinks that he's holding Sydney's arm and like throws it to the ground, but it wasn't his arm. It was his sword.
Oh, he's disarmed himself.
And then Sydney does say, oh, I won't kill you. Don't worry. I, pointing at himself, will not kill you. And Rosencrantz backs up towards the statue of Kali, the Hindu god. And Sydney, the Kali statue, however, has made no promises about not killing Rosencrantz. And totally does. It's
and she's like, I didn't say I wouldn't.
It does look like he disappears, so you don't see his body. So maybe he'll be back. He just like glows and disappears. So who knows?
I think Guildenstern and Rosencrantz are dead.
Wait, no, Guildenstern's still alive.
No, Guildenstern and Rosencrantz are dead.
No, Guildenstern's still alive.
Guildenstern and Rosencrantz are dead. Yeah, that I said it 3 times, and that's for all you theater nerds in the audience.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Sydney, at this point, Sydney turns to Ashley, is like, come join me. Follow me. I'm giving you the city, and you might be able to save them. Your wife and child.
But he doesn't have a wife and child.
Yeah, that's
maybe.
Who knows? Maybe Sydney wasn't telling the truth. But at this point, Kali attacks. And this is a super fun boss fight. One of her arms is very weak against your magics, and you can just wail on it. But I just think this is a super cool boss design. I was really happy with this fight. Although I can understand, like, maybe if you're Hindu, you don't like your gods being used as video game bosses.
I'm not sure. I feel like Hindus are pretty cool.
Well, I follow a guy. He used to like do 1UP podcasts and stuff, and he's like, "Hey, maybe don't keep using our gods for your summons, Final Fantasy."
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
There's so many different sects and things. I mean, of course I can't speak for any Hindu, but I'm sure there's a variety of opinions out there.
And then Ashley then follows Sydney up the Cloudstone and sees it. The Grand Cathedral. The heart of Leamond. What happens there? We'll talk about next time on Square Roots.
Yay! We did it!
We did it. We did it.
Next time on Square Roots, we are going to finish Vagrant Story. I hope someone's playing along with me. It would be fun to see how, especially someone like me who has not got this far in the game before. There's so much good and so much bad. Talking about this game makes me like it more. That's why I have to write out my list of all the bad things it's done to me so that I can, really remember this is an unhealthy relationship between me and this game.
Listeners, if you're playing along, write in at squarerootspodcast@gmail.com and tell Johnny what your experience is.
I would love that. I guess we could talk about Vanessa. Jim is gone. Why don't you tell us what you are squarely against?
I'm squarely against when little children open their mouth and it's just a black hole, like a void, like no tongue, no tonsils. I know sometimes children don't have teeth, and that's fine, but, it's like I expect something in there, some kind of flesh, not just blackness. Matt, what are you squarely against?
I'm squarely against, like, full body magic spells that can totally wreck you. Those spells that they start casting where it's like, hits your head, body, left arm, left leg, right leg, that's really fucking annoying. Like, that's obnoxious. So, that's what I'm squarely against. What about you, John?
You can cast them too, but they never seem as powerful when you do it, so you're just better off
and
buffing yourself.
I feel like there's a lot of misses too.
Yeah. There are some gems.
They do it to me, and it's like, you're dead, and I do it to them, and it's like, you hit them for 25 damage.
You can get some gems that will amplify your magic and make it not miss as much. Those are super useful. The thing that there's two things that I did to make my axe really good. One is putting gems on to make it more powerful, and the other is putting a gem on that makes it miss way less, and that is very useful. I am squarely against these box pushing and jumping puzzles. There's no point of them. They aren't fun. They just waste time in this game, and the game would be much better without them. But Jim will have to get his squarely against when he comes back. Vanessa, what's a Patreon?
A Patreon is a very kind person. Well, I guess the patron is the person. The Patreon is the way that they express their kindness. It's a way to support us and what we do. Because we don't got no advertisers, we don't got no network, we don't got nothing but you, and you don't have anything but us, so think about that.
Wow. That's bleak.
Yeah, so if you would like me not to say stuff like that anymore, join our Patreon. You get rewards for $3 a month. You get access to all our bonus content. There's like 50 pieces of bonus content in there. And we're talking like, some of them are chunky. There's like 2-hour bonus episodes. You can get so much more of us.
Some of them are lean boys.
Some of them are lean boys, you know.
There's a really embarrassing Friday the 13th episode in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to run you anywhere from half an hour to 2 hours plus, you know? Yeah. So
when we're talking about Detroit becoming human.
Yeah. Some of them are your sitcoms, and some of them are feature length. So that's at the $3 level, and at the $5 level, you get all of that. Plus, you get to join the pool of registered voters who get to help us choose what game we will play next for Square Roots. Not every time. I mean, there are traditions to be followed. There is BioWary coming up next month, but sometimes up to 3 times a year. And at any level, even for a measly $1 a month, you get your name read at the end of the show. And John is going to start doing it just as soon as Jim tells us what he's squarely against.
I'm squarely against the amount of time it takes in the menus to play this game. It's kind of the worst part of the game. The fact that you can't, like, just fight like you can in every other RPG. Like, the fact that it's so, like, menu reliant, is a bummer. So that's what I'm squarely against.
Jim, what are our YouTube streams that we're supposed to plug?
So we have been doing, and we've only been doing it for a couple months, but we've been doing some YouTube Let's Plays of, we've done Phantasmagoria, we're kind of almost done with Darkseid. We've also done Harvester. You guys attempted the 11th Hour, which I was not present for, but I've heard was a nightmare.
And we also tried Little Hope, and our save game died.
Oh, yeah, we gave Little Hope the old college try. Like, it was a real technical issue. It wasn't like lack of motivation, but you can check those out on our YouTube. If you just like type in Square Roots podcast into the YouTube, you'll find our channel with our plays on it. Check it out. We'll be doing more as the months go on. I kind of want to make it a New Year's, like, not resolution, but New Year's goal, 2021 goal to do more live streams. Cause like, I think, they're fun and I think the listeners like them and I have a lot of fun doing them. So, check us out on YouTube. That's where you can find our, all of our live streams to date.
Now, back to these patrons. I'd like to thank Arthur, Troy Shiflett, Aiden Marriott, Fresh Eyes, WWE Mike G, Dylan Rowe, Ep, The Arrows of Adonis on that PlayStation Hot, Smooth Bear Sydney. Please discuss his segment on a weekly basis.
We missed it, but just like Ashley's butt is still out there, Sydney's ding dong is still flip-flopping around right out of his pants every scene that he's in.
We talked about the ding dong and the butt so much in the first episode that we just kind of we got it out of the way, you know? We exhausted
Not
those
that
avenues
much
of
to
discussion.
say about it.
It's still bouncing around in every cutscene, you know, and you're just like, all right, I guess this is where we're at.
Not since Cyberpunk 2077 has there been so much penis clipping through someone's pants.
I'd also like to thank Aaron J.L. O'Toole, Eyes of the Shifter, Cassandra, Sing the Hamster Dance Song. Joshua Broxson, TJ.
Was that the hamster dance song?
I guess it was.
Wasn't it?
That's more accurate.
I'm not good at remembering how songs go. TJ Miller's horny grandma impersonation, Jason Timms. Tim Sims. It's peanut butter jelly time. Peanut butter jelly time. Dan. Fable is great, but so is Threads of Fate, played in 2021, or the Cuzzle will still drizzle gallons and gallons all over the Threads of Fate, huh? That's a hard one. Wait, was that one on PSN?
That's one somebody mentioned.
Yeah, I think it might be on
Threads of
PSN,
Fate.
so it's doable. Soy Soda Pop. Vanessa's lurking desire to see Smash Mouth live again. Hails
Who told you?
William Westgard. Insert clever name here. Wedge Coon. Ethan Pearson. Mostly Rational Person. Chief Hazard Built. Garbage Orphan World Savers LLC. Christopher Highness. Saving Sid. Jordan McNeil. And Sean. Jim, your turn.
All right, thank you. Still just Ashley's Proudly Exposed but Dunkadunk. Vanessa's Gold Taco Bell PS5. Grayson. L'Oreal of the Claire. Ari Kopavara. Andrew Leinart. Robert J. Defendi. You Make Sulk Sad. Sexy Grandma's Boy Toy Is. Great Code. Isaac Wright. Justin Rash. Matthew Newland. Andrew Jokic. Listen up, Screw Stains. Chris Wilder. Joshua Bennett. Hexagon. Armin Hammer, Hudson Roth, Andy Smith, Vanessa's mother's, brothers, nephews, cousins, former roommate. Vanessa, that's so hard to concentrate when you do that. Amanda Douglas, Christian Go, Sergeant Spaghetti, Chris Ryan, Kevin Walter, Matthew Casterline, Adam Zimmerman, Robot in Greece, Stephen Paget, Paul Bursch, Alex Dullard, Cake Ninja, Joseph, and Wash in the Wind.
Well, I would like to thank Andy M., Knopford, George Brady, Michael Crawford, Vanessa's fourth mom, Jameson, OMG What Is This Game, Mary Queen of Scoffs, D. Jethro, Ron, Sean Gonzalez, Jared Collins, Dr. Fine, say everyone's name. Happy holidays from T. Bumpkins. Now let's bailiwick that galt. This is the vagrant story of a girl who cried a river and drowned the whole world.
Okay, I want to pause for a second. Is that song about telling a girl how much better she looks when she's smiling?
She looks good in photographs,
that's a line in the
but
movie.
he
That's a line in
loves
the
her
song.
when she smiles.
Yeah, do you think that's like, you just look so much better when you smile, you know?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
For sure.
I was thinking
Smile
about that
more.
the other day.
You should smile more.
Exactly. That's the song is the musical equivalent of You Should Smile More.
Talk less.
Andy Best, Citrus C,
Read
Gage
more.
La Charite, Chris Pignac, PJ
Reading the
Ends,
Patreon
Huxley Iguana,
games is what
Hat
we're
Ben,
here
the Ben with the hat, Sean Walsh, Vanessa's Holiday Cheese Plate
Oh,
Fun,
I want some.
Florian
I'm
Jonas
so
Kramer.
excited.
The RPG Luminary, Ryan Miller, Nick, Eric Garby, Vanessa's Bathroom Cactuar. Vanessa's mom says, John is right, no more politics.
My mom would never say that. Jake Dickerson, David Green, Ashley T's Juicy Dumper. Oh. Chili's Baby Back Luigi. Nathan Poirot, a little dirty about Jack and Diane.
Diddy.
I guess they said Diddy. Oh, I know that song.
Wow.
Is
John Cougar Mellencamp here?
Whoa.
John Cougar Mellencamp, is Cougar really your middle name?
My name
Yeah,
is
it is.
Cougar, yeah. My mama was a mountain lion. Nathan Poirot. Wait, I
And your
already said
father
that.
was a Mellencamp.
What about Megan Sullivan?
Megan Sullivan, Jonathan Edgeworth, Sam Mitchell, Sam Harrison, Eric Baccarat, Will Simone, Mel Gibson 1, 2021, Robert M. Pullen, Miguel Torres, Charles Hills person the door to the pain with Reese Jenkins, camera
It's not fair that
showing.
Vanessa doesn't have to do it just because John Cougar Mellencamp's here to read the names.
She's the wolf, and a wolf is a cougar, they will both stalk the woods.
We'll just have her do all of next
With
week.
everything on, thou hast obtained a
What's happening?
picture on your property,
John Cougar Mellencamp is reading the names.
That's not what John Cougar Mellencamp sounds like.
I'm pretty girl, David Sloan, I'm Homer Fergus, third of my
That's what the
line.
lead singer of Creed sounds like.
Nashville, Franklin,
The lead singer of Creed is going to play Richard Nixon, I think.
No, he's
going to
playing
play
Frank Sinatra.
Frank Sinatra in an upcoming Richard Nixon
Right,
biopic.
no,
There's a
Reagan
Ronald
biopic.
Reagan biopic.
Reagan
Watch
biopic.
his dress.
That
Goes
sounds
to John, his
terrible.
mother's favorite husband. Ashley Wrightson, this hurts it. Charge accepted.
Wow.
Vanessa Real Mamba, it's new skill. Now I'm done. How do you feel?
Yeah.
Keep
Anyways.
going. John, you want to do the outro for us?
No, I'll do it. That's it for this episode of Square Roots. If you'd like, you can send us an email to squarerootspodcast@gmail.com. We have a Facebook group. It's a Square Roots podcast group for smart, cool, very attractive people. Or you can tweet at us. We are at Square Roots Pod, hashtag
Roots
Creed,
Pod.
hashtag hire,
Hey, we
hashtag
are soliciting stories about holiday games or
Oh,
something,
we want to know
Jim?
your holiday gaming stories.
And holidays on Christmas.
Send us an
best time of
anecdote
the
about
year.
your favorite or least favorite
I
or
don't
just
know
memorable
what mistletoe
holiday gaming memory
come
to
up
squarerootspodcast@gmail.com.
Have a holiday jolly Christmas.
Don't forget
Actually,
to rate
no.
and review and subscribe on Apple Podcasts
Oh,
or Google
but
Play
darling.
or wherever you listen to podcasts, except for
No.
Spotify. 'Cause
But darling.
no.
Merry Christmas. Let's see.
That's it for Square Roots. I'm Jim Banks.
I'm John Cougar Mellencamp.
I'm Matthew Van Zant.
I'm a real John Cougar Mellencamp.
Bye.
Chewbacca kid growed up in the heartland.
Well, all right. That's our holiday fight out of the way. And like all families, I think we can agree to move past it and come together because it's Christmas. And at Christmas, you tell the truth.
Wait, no, you don't want to do that. We said no fighting.
That was my favorite part of Love Actually, where he's like, just because it's Christmas, and at Christmas you tell the truth. And it's like, since when? That's not a thing.
That's
That
not
makes
a
it
thing.
worse. It's good. I like
I
it.
don't know that I have either.
I like it.
Yeah,
I
I'm
like
reporting.
it in like a nostalgic way, but then I watched it with a friend who hadn't seen it, and she pointed out everything that was like problematic about it,
Which is half
And-
the movie.
which is half the movie.
Like, that is the Prime Minister's secretary or whatever.
Yeah. And also, she's not fat,
No.
like by any stretch of the imagination.
Anyway.
Anyway, time to
Hollywood
clap.
fat person.
Last time on Square Roots, it's a real reverse Punisher when Ashley faces his past, experiments with a cross-shaped peekaboo window, and teams up with Sydney to battle an old friend turned new foe. Also, his butt is still out, just in case you were wondering.
You did say behaddle.
You want me to do it again?
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. Last time on Square Roots, it's a real reverse Punisher when Ashley faces his past, experiments with cross-shaped peekaboo windows, and teams up with Sydney to battle an old friend turned new foe. Also, his butt is still out, just in case you were wondering.
His butt is still out?
I said butt. I clearly said butt. I'm not doing it 3 times.
You did say butt. You didn't say butt.
I'll do it once for each cheek and no more, sir.
I'm really going to need this for this episode.
Matt is holding up a full bottle of whiskey.
Oh, I have a bottle of whiskey too.
Oh, look at that.
I'm giving
Hey,
my
friends, welcome to
liver a break
Square
this week.
Roots, the classic RPG podcast. I'm
I already
your
did
host.
that.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said
It was so long
Hey,
ago, I
friends,
forgot.
welcome to Square Roots.
John started talking about
The
Nugget Furniture.
Yep.
I know. I don't know
derailed.
what's going on.
it's my fault.
John and Vanessa, the 2 non-parents, are talking about kids' furniture.
True.
Matt,
It's weird. It's a weird choice, is all I'm saying.
Matt, have
Yes?
you ever gotten some Nugget Furniture
You know he
and when
has.
it
Nope.
comes, you take your shirt off and you sit on top of the box and you pose?
Imagine how sexy it would be to pose shirtless on top of children's furniture.
Oh, Vanessa, like the first result for Nugget Furniture is After Dark, and that's the like secret group of Instagram moms porn site where they have sex on top of the Nugget
Excuse
Furniture.
me. What?
What?
I'm not even kidding. Type in Nugget Furniture and you'll see.
I don't want to. I don't want to see this. Is this just like that foam sort of sex furniture that you can get, but they're too embarrassed to buy it, so they say
But
it's for children?
kids.
You know, you can get like a triangle wedge, and it'll be like, wedge this to wedge yourself up so you won't feel so tired in the pelvis.
You know,
That's
Vanessa,
what I say to my
I'm just going
partners.
to copy and paste this into the chat, just so you know.
All right.
It's not a picture. It's an article.
Just the article of pictures.
How the Nugget couch became supreme drops for moms.
What?
Nugget couch.
All right, let's take a look at this. Oh,
This pull quote says the Nugget has developed a cult-like following that would make Gary V slam his nuts in a drawer. I don't understand that reference, but what a
me
pull quote.
neither. Let's
Wait,
see.
I see what it is. That's not
It's
a
just
terrible
ugly.
idea. Well, but here's the thing.
They're just
I
cushions.
kind of like that. Well, here's the thing. You know, I used to have, when my kids were younger, I definitely would, we had like little chairs and like a little fold-out couch that kind of was like this, but like a cheap, shitty version. This is like the high-end version. It's cool, though.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
just like those things you get at like a daycare or something in the gym, and you roll around on them and spill your little child fluids all over it.
It's like modular couch, kid-sized couch, basically. That's cool. That's a good idea. I'm going to buy this and post shirtless.
Finally, your bear fans will be so happy. Literally,
Jim! Did you
What?
see what he said to the group chat?
no.
I can't unsee that.
Let me look.
I'm sorry, John.
Oh no. Oh. So, when you start the section where you fight the Earth Elemental, it's this like this the closest I got Jim's hiccups are amazing.
I had the hiccups so bad. I'm so sorry.
No, it's great.
Jim, go have a spoonful of peanut butter, buddy. Stop holding your breath.
No,
go
hold your
eat
breath.
a spoonful of peanut butter.
Hold your
Can't
breath.
podcast with your breath.
Okay, go get a spoonful of peanut butter, Jim.
Let's telling you, it's
let's
the
try
cure.
it, Jim.
I don't know if my peanut butter is expired or not.
Well,
Oh my
Peanut butter doesn't
God,
expire, Jim.
Don't eat expired peanut butter on the podcast.
no, eat it. Go get it.
Peanut butter does not expire.
I'm still holding my breath. I'm still holding it.
This is my favorite thing that's ever happened on the podcast.
He looks like a blowfish.
Still holding.
Jim is turning blue.
Oh, I hiccuped at the end of it. You know what? I feel way better. I don't have the hiccups anymore.
Okay.
You're just saying that so you don't have to eat the peanut butter.
I don't want to eat the peanut butter. I don't want to eat the peanut butter.
Jim, come, go back. Go get the peanut butter. We'll read it on air and see what the expiration date is.
Okay, I'll go grab it.
Okay.
All right. Here goes Jim to get the peanut butter.
I'm not kidding. Listeners at home, I have just gifted you a miracle. A spoonful of peanut butter will cure your fucking hiccups. It's the only thing I've ever done that works 100% of the time. And I've tried everything. What the fuck was that? Vanessa popped up on camera for a minute just to glare at me.
Why
I
is
was
she?
trying to scare Jim.
Oh. You gotta
All right,
say.
I found my peanut butter.
Vanessa, say boo.
Boo.
He wasn't looking. He's not looking at the screen.
What kind of peanut butter you got
Vanessa.
there, buddy? With your blue top.
I was looking at my peanut butter. I have such bad hiccups.
Sounds like he's gonna. He sounds like he's gonna throw up every time he
It's not that
hiccups.
scary. It's not that
It's
scary.
really
It's not scary
cutting.
enough.
It's really cutting into Vanessa's attempt to be creepy.
Jump scare.
I don't know how to read this Best Buy label. So it says best if used by August 1 and then comma 621 LR1 07334.
Sounds like 21, so you're good.
August of 21. Okay. So I just take a big fingerful of it.
Well, he said spoonful.
Well, I said spoon.
We're
Nobody
not
wants
monster-
to see you
Oh,
eat
God.
peanut butter off your finger. Don't
Oh, he's
do
doing
it.
it.
Don't.
Oh, he shoved that down there. He's lingering.
Kind of turned on. Just a little. Stop it.
I didn't chew it.
Hey, Matt, look what I got.
Oh, boy.
Pringles.
You're editing this episode, John.
Oh, right. I am not eating. Okay.
You know what's funny? I did the same thing last week. Several times I said to you when you edit this episode, and then halfway through the episode, I was like, wait a minute.
I don't know. I think Jim's dead.
Good. I mean, not good.
Jim
I
appears to
didn't
be
mean good.
gargling peanut butter.
He's holding his breath again.
So is there... What part of the peanut butter works? How's this work?
You know what? I feel way better now.
Okay.
I do. I don't feel like I have the. I seriously don't think I have them anymore.
That's great.
Holding your breath works. Holding your breath plus peanut
Boo.
butter. Hold your breath, peanut butter. Hold your breath again. No more hiccups.
Okay.
You just need to you get an actual spoon and get an actual spoonful of peanut butter.
No, you use your finger.
And I don't know what it is, John. I think that it presses against your. I think it's because it's the thickness. It presses against your diaphragm or something as it goes down. But I don't know. Do you know that? And I could be totally wrong here, but I'm pretty sure that I looked into this a few years ago and it was true that doctors don't know why we hiccup.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
It's a
that's
I
true.
think that's also true.
A medical mystery.
Every time I get the hiccups, I worry that I'm going to be one of those medical cases from the 1800s where somebody died of the hiccups for having them for 10 years.
I mean, every once in a while on NPR, they'll be a woman hiccuped for 20 years.
I'm going to
and
be
you're
is that me? Am I
how
ever
do
going
you
to stop?
after a week? 1 week.